Hello, Muskies. This is Sue Bielk. I'm Associate Director of Financial Aid and Educational Funding. This presentation is going to be how do you move forward with your financial aid over the summer. The topics we will be covering is verification, pending co-op scholarship, federal loan requirements, additional loan options, special circumstances, outside scholarships, FERPA, and looking at MY.LAKELAND.EDU. When a student submits their FAFSA, they may be requested for verification. This does not mean that you've done anything wrong. It's just a checks and balances system that the Department of Education has set up. To get to the verification form that's needed, you can go into My.LAKELAND.EDU, go into NetPartner, and find the verification form. If you have any trouble in finding this document, contact our office and we'll be happy to email it to you. Once you have the document, print it, attach all the requested documents, and sign it. Please do not email this document. It contains sensitive information. Either mail it, fax it, or upload it to NetPartner. Page 1 of the verification form will contain student information like name, address, social security number, and on the bottom, this question is getting number in the family, number in college. This has to correspond to one of the questions that was answered when completing the FAFSA. Page 2 of the verification form is about the student income that was completed in the FAFSA. If the student completed a 2019 tax return and used the IRS data retrieval tool, you will check mark the first box. If the student filed a 2019 tax return and manually entered all the information, you will check the second box. We will then need either a copy of the 2019 IRS tax transcript, or we can accept a signed copy of the 2019 tax return. If the student did not file a 2019 tax return, they check the third box, but then there's one additional question. Did the student work during 2019? If yes, we will need a W-2 form to verify that amount. Page 2 of the verification is going to verify student income listed in the FAFSA. If the student completed a 2019 federal tax return and used the IRS data retrieval tool, mark the first box and no further student documentation is needed. If the student completed a 2019 tax return and did not use the IRS data retrieval tool and manually entered all of the financial information, we will either need the student to request a copy of their tax transcript or we need a signed copy of the 2019 tax return. If the student did not file and was not required to file a 2019 tax return, check the third box. If the student was employed, we will need a copy of their W-2 form. If the student was not employed, we do not need any additional documentation from the student. Moving on to the parent financial section of the FAFSA, here again, the first question is, did the parent file a 2019 income tax return and did they use the IRS data retrieval tool? If so, mark that box. If the parent completed their 2019 tax return and did not use the IRS data retrieval tool and manually entered everything, we will either need a tax transcript or a signed copy of the 2019 tax return. If the parent did not file or was not required to file a 2019 tax return, we will need a W-2 form if they had any income. If not, we will need a letter of non-filing from the IRS. Moving on to page 3 of the verification, this section will verify the parent financial information. So if the parent completed a 2019 tax return and used the IRS data retrieval, mark that box. If the parent completed a 2019 tax return and manually entered everything into the FAFSA, we will either need a 2019 IRS tax transcript or we can accept a signed copy of the 2019 tax return. If the parent did not file a tax return and is not required to file, we will need the parent to request a letter of non-filing from the IRS. We will also need to know if the parent earned any income, and if they did, we will need a copy of the W-2 forms. Finally, both the student and the parent needs to sign the document. When students applied to the university, if they indicated that they were interested in our cooperative education program, they were awarded pending co-op scholarship. That scholarship will not disperse until the students complete their cooperative education interview. I'm always notified when these interviews occur, so I can change that scholarship to no longer being pending. We will see in a later slide what to look for to see if your cooperative education scholarship is still in a pending status. If a student is accepting federal loan, there are two requirements that need to be completed to allow that funding to disperse. The first requirement is entrance counseling. Entrance counseling goes through the rights and responsibilities of taking out a loan. So it's going to explain to the students, what is interest? When does it start to accrue? When do you go into repayment? What happens if you're in repayment and you can't pay? The other item is the master promissory note. This is the legal and binding document that helps the students understand that it is a loan and it needs to be repaid. Both of these need to be completed by the student. They can log into studentaid.gov with their FSA ID. If you want to seek additional loan options, there's two options to consider. The first one is the Parent Plus loan. This is a loan through the Department of Education for parents. A parent would need to log in to studentaid.gov using their parent FSA ID. It'll take you through an immediate credit check. If you are credit approved, you can borrow up to the cost of education. If you are credit declined, then we would be able to award your student $4,000 in additional unsubsidized loan. In the process of the application, you will be asked if you would like to have your loan deferred while your student is enrolled full-time, and if you want to have a grace period. If you check yes to these options, understand that interest will accrue during your student's enrollment. The other option would be alternative loans. There are various bank-sponsored loans, credit unions, other types of lenders out there that have their own student loan programs that mirror the federal loans. Those would be in the student name, but typically they will require a cosigner. For parents, I would recommend looking at options of lenders that would offer a cosigner release option, meaning that if the student goes into repayment, perhaps they have to make 24 monthly on-time payments and the cosigner can be released. Or maybe another lender would want 36 monthly on-time payments to release a cosigner. It's each individual lender's rules on how they want to operate, so please do your homework in looking at these options. If at any time any of these special circumstances occur, such as involuntary loss of a job, death in the family, separation or divorce, medical expenses not covered by insurance. We just went through a pandemic. Lots of families had a loss of income during the 2020 year. If anything like that happened, please reach out to us. We always want to review those types of situations to see if students can qualify for additional financial assistance. Students, if you want any additional scholarships for your local communities or elsewhere, congratulations. We do need you to report those to our office so we can add them to your financial aid file. It is never our intention to ever take away any Lakeland funding. Normally, the worst case scenario is we may need to move some subsidized loan into the unsubsidized category. Also, read the information that those scholarship organizations are providing to you. You may need to show one semester of passing grades before you will get that funding, or maybe they need something from our office. So please let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you in that process. Due to privacy laws, if a student wants us to release any sort of information to their parents, such as financial information, academic information, we need permission to do so. We do have this FERPA form that students can complete that will allow us to give information to designated individuals on this form. federal privacy rules prevent us from providing financial information or academic information to any parent unless the student gives us permission. You can access this FERPA form where the student can list who we are allowed to give information to, and we will keep this information on file. Due to federal privacy laws, we can no longer provide information to parents unless the student gives us permission to do so. If a student would like to give permission, they can complete this FERPA form designating the individuals that we can provide information to. This is for both financial and academic purposes. It is important for our students to understand how to navigate My.LAKELAND.EDU. If students do not know their username and password, they will need to contact our IT help desk for assistance. Students can view the financial aid portal by logging into My.LAKELAND, and under the Quick Links area, they can click on Financial Aid Student Access Net Partner. The other option is they can go to the Student tab and then proceed to Financial Aid. By going to the Financial Aid tab, the students can also access Financial Aid Net Partner here, and this is a great place for students to review different scholarship opportunities that may be available. Once the student is in Net Partner, they can use the menu button to navigate. Over on the right-hand corner, you will see the current award year that we are working in. Down below, you'll be able to see if any documents are needed, and this is where you can upload those documents. On the bottom, this is where you can see if that co-op scholarship may be in a pending status. For students that need to accept their aid, they can click on the menu button and then go to Accept Awards. On the Accept Awards screen, you will be able to see what's called the financial aid budget. This budget includes both billable and non-billable expenses. Billable expenses by the university would be the tuition and fees, and if appropriate, room and board. The other costs that you see, such as books and supplies, miscellaneous, and transportation, Lakeland University is not going to bill those items. Those are just things you need to think about as other costs that students incur. Down below, you'll be able to see each individual category of aid that's being offered. Students may need to use that bottom lever to pull it to the right to be able to see everything, whether it's pending, if they want to accept or decline or reduce some of the funding that is being offered. Under Forms and Links, you'll be able to access the links for the Master Promissory Note, Entrance Counseling. This is where you'll be able to find the FERPA form and any other forms that may be helpful. This concludes the presentation. If you have any questions and would like to follow up, please contact us at the information provided. Thank you. Thank you.